Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And today we are going to talk about the new update, which is coming from Flowflow. We dropped a couple of hours ago. And I'm actually currently showing you the update from my email. And the reason for that is that they didn't actually yet make a new post in the community about the update. So that's why I'm showing you this inside my email. So the new things in this new update is the brand new community, which we are going to talk in depth in a second. And then we have the loops in actions. So that means that now you can actually loop actions. And previously there was a hack using periodic and using doing or looping through actions using periodic every like 1 second or 1 millisecond or whatever. But now using loops, it is actually much better, of course, to do that. And we are going to look at that as well. And then we have the infinity scroll for more widgets. Previously, we had only the list view widget was available for infinite scroll, but now they added page view, grid view, and staggered view, which previously were not allowed. And I really hope, I will see that, but I really hope they added the API calls as well, so they work as well for those widgets. But we'll see. But for sure, they work for Firebase. And then let's move on, and we have the temporary disable actions, which means that now you are able to disable an action, which is great for testing and debugging. So you don't need anymore to delete actions if you want to just test something. Now you can disable them. And then we have the widget opacity, which you can leverage from here. And then we have the perks program. So the perk program, it's ability to create a new account using a lot platforms that you can actually save money from them. But we are going to look at that as well. So without any further ado, let's actually jump to the first one, which is a big one, and this is the new community, and we are going to look into it. Okay, so let's jump into the first thing from the new community, which is this is the new community, and let's go through all of this. So we have on the top we have back to Flowflow, where you can go back to Flowflow, which we're going to open the app.flowflow.io. Then we have the documentation. So if you are not opening the documentation a lot, this is actually a good place to start the documentation, export documentation. Then we have report a bug. So if you have any issues with Flowflow, please go to report a bug. See first if the bug is already reported or not. And if it's not, you can actually report it. And then we have the legacy community, which is the old community. If you still have unfinished business with the old community, you can actually visit the old community from there. And then the first post that we are going to talk about in the new community, it's about migrating old posts from the old community to the new community. And they are saying that they are about to migrate around 3,000 posts from the old community to the new community, or from the legacy community to the new community. And that's actually great. Let's hope that they do it as fast as possible, because right now this community looks a little bit empty from the last one, of course, because it's a brand new. And they are already some posts that are being migrated to the new community. So I think they are not going to migrate all the 3,000 posts at the same time. I think they're going to migrate it like bits by bits, but more posts are coming in the near future. So If you click on the logo, you are going to go to the community. There is a search, and the search actually is much better than the last community. And I can write something like OO, for example, and then I can see like the post. I can see like the wish list. I can see questions. I can see articles. You can also have articles here as well. So it's much better than the last one. We on the here we have the direct messages, and this is your notifications. And here you can, if you click this, you can add a new post, and this is your profile, of course. And on the left side, you can actually have the home. So let's talk about the home a little bit. So you have browse popular spaces. So when you click on, so not click, but when you see browse popular spaces, those are the spaces which are popular, and it's a little bit different than the old community, because right now you have, for example, ask the question. So if I click ask the question, you can actually see all the different categories over here. Previously, they were on the left side, and now you have to click inside this section to see all the different categories that you can ask your question in. Then you have discussions, which is another part of the community, and it is a little bit different, but you can actually add a post over here and just have a different discussions. Those are not questions regarding the platform, but those are just discussions, like discussion of flow charts and so on and so forth. So I don't think we had that in the previous community. And then here we have announcements, which are, for example, the perks program, or Flow Developer Conference, which are going, I think it's the first one that are going to be in the States, and they choose New York City, of course, for that. And then we have what's new. So if I click on what's new, we're supposed to see this update here, but unfortunately the last one is from 7th of July, so they didn't upload yet, or they didn't put or create a new post about this update. And then if we continue a little bit, then we can see like most relevant or pinned, let's say pinned post by the Flutter Flow team, and in this case it's about the migration of the posts. And then if we continue further down, we can see the recent Flow updates, which are the ones from the announcements, which is from here. So you can actually see with a quick preview, you can actually see all the announcements. And in this regard, the homepage of the new community, I think it's much better, because you can have much better overview of what is going on. Previously, when in the previous community, when you visit the community, you are only supposed to see what's new in the section what's new. And right now, you have much more possibility to see an overview when you're at home, to see for overview what is going on with the community, what is going on with the announcements, what's new in Flow, and the posts. So if you go to recent questions, you can actually see all the reasons questions out there. And you can click on show more and to see more questions, and you can actually click that, I think, indefinitely until all the questions are loaded. So regarding the reason questions, I have to say that those are only the questions. I think those are only the questions which are not answered yet. So if I click on the first question, for example, phone sign in not working on iOS, redirect to deep link fails. This question, as you can see, it's not yet answered. So that's why you probably see this question over here. So let me just switch the question. You can see that this question is not answered. It was asked 1 hour ago, and that's why it appeared here. So the whole idea is that you can actually see when you go in the home, you can actually see the questions that are not answered, so you can actually answer them. And then if we go further down, we have the welcome to the new community members, and you can introduce yourself here. And then we have the community spotlight, which are actually an app or a projects that you have built with Flow, and you can actually post about them over here, which I think is this one, community showcase. So like in general, this is a good preview of all the sections, or not all the sections, but some picked sections from the left side to the center of community. And then on the right side over here, you have your own profile. I encourage you to actually work on your profile, to put all the information of your profile, and then it's much better actually, because you have a cover, you have some other things like replay spaces. And you can see all your posts over here. And then on the right side, it's the leaderboard. And the leaderboard actually, it's set right now to all time. And you can actually see those scores. I don't know how the score exactly work, but it is actually about the posts about the engagement, right? About the posts that you do, new posts, answer comments or answer posts, reply to posts, comments also, and likes as well. So it's all about that. And they put you like a score of all the time. We have the monthly score over here, and we have the weekly score over here. So you can see that as well. And then what I wanted to tell you, which I think it's something that you must know, is when you go to ask the community. Right now, you have to first choose a category to ask. In which category you want to ask. For example, let's say widget and design. And if I click widget in design, I can ask a question right now. I can view the documentation, and I can ask a question. So here right now, it is great because we have three sorts of ordering. So we have the latest ones, which are over here, and we have the resolved. So if I click on the results, those are questions that are already being resolved by the community. Someone answered those questions, and you can see actually those are being resolved. Then we have the unresolved as well right now as well, and you can actually answer those questions. So there should be resolved. So or they will be resolved in the future. So if you are a Flow community member, please don't forget to actually mark your question as resolved. So if I click on this right now, you can actually see that this is resolved. And how do you resolve that? You can actually edit your post. And when you edit your post, you have to click this resolve, this check mark, which is resolved. I am actually a moderator of the community, me, myself, and Search. And if I click over here, you can actually see it. This is Search. Both of us are actually moderators of the community. So if you're watching this video, I would like to ask you actually to please mark your questions as resolved. And also, if it's possible, if you think it's possible, it would be great if you actually have, let's say, those two questions. There is actually a way to mark as best reply. So if you are actually the one who is asking the question, please mark as best reply. And also, you can actually have tags inside your posts. And I will actually recommend you to try to actually not create new tags when you're creating your post. try to use already created tags because not to get actually like a new widget and custom widget. It's probably best to have only like custom widget or widget in the end of the day and not have those three over here. So that's everything you need to know about the new posts. And then we have the wish list. So the wish list actually, I think it's much better than the last one and the last community, because right now you can actually vote for them. So, for example, this ability to add custom map markers, it's like the most voted right now. It's like it has 60 votes currently, and by actually voting to the features that are introduced in the community, Flow team can actually know what the community wants in the near future. And let's hope that they can actually implement it as soon as possible. And the last thing that I wanted to show you is the events. And those are actually online and offline events. So currently we have this conference, which are going to be in the New York City. And like I said, I think it's going to be the first conference in the States regarding Flow. Previously, the previous one was actually in, I think in India. I think so. And I think it was the first one. And then we have actually upcoming community events, which are, in this case, it's also offline community event. But if you are one of the person who are having community events of regarding Flow or some talk or wherever, you can actually go over here and add your community event, so people can actually know about what you're doing regarding Flow. Like this one, it's coming from a user. This is in Korea, and it's Flow seminar. So this one, for example, was added by a user, which is this one. Yeah, great. So I think that's it regarding the new community. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment. But I think that's it for now. So let's move on. Loops in actions. So loops in actions actually give you the ability to check for something in looping regarding, and it will actually loop until something is done. This is one of the reasons why you want to use loops. And in this case over here, they have Flow give you an example with a payment. And if you are actually checking for a payment, you can check for status API until the actual payment is done. And the other reason you want to use loops are actually if you have something like a list of something like strings or integer or whatever, or documents, you can have a list of documents. You can actually loop all through this list of documents and do something with them. You can actually update them or create a new document based on a list of strings or integers. So let's actually jump into Flow right now, and let's try to show you how this can be done. Okay, so I opened this brand new page, but I have an error actually, and it says error found in a custom function count items. And if I click over it, you can actually see this is a very, very simple custom function which are actually counting the items that I have in my list. So in this case, it's a dynamic list, which means that it's a JSON one of type of JSONs. And then I have this, which is, it's very strange here. It says undefined name, clear unset fields. Try correcting the name to the one that is defined or define the name. And it says line 256, which I don't have this line. So it's something like for the floor, it's telling me that I have an error, but I don't have this in my code. So I will not probably be able to, I probably have to delete this one and create a new one. But yeah, like I said, I don't know why I'm getting this issue right now. So don't blame me if I cannot actually show you in a test mode how this works, but I can show you how you can implement it, or I can show you how you can use it. So in my case, I will actually use this. So let's name this page. So let's name it what's new, and then let's put, probably it's a better idea to put the date, which I think it's currently in this update. I think it's 21st. It's not. There is not. There isn't a date, but I think it's 21st of July, 23. Okay, so I will actually use the scaffold, which is the first widget. It's called a scaffold in Flow, and you can see it actually on the right side. It says scaffold. And then if I click over here on actions and click on open action flow editor, is actually the first action on your page, which have two action cases, like on page load, and we have on font shake. I will use on page load, and I will add a new action. And let's add a new action with a backend call. And let's add a API call, and let's add users. So this is an API code that is actually getting all the users, like demo users. I can click on edit, and I can copy this link and then open it, and to just show you what I mean. So this is actually what I'm getting from this API call. It's just a random users with ID, name, username, email, and so on and so forth. And this is actually returning me a list of JSONs. So I want to use this list of JSONs, and let's actually change that real quickly. So let's change that to users response. And unfortunately, right now, I don't know why. Flow, it's not complaining. It is complaining right now that I don't have the true or false, anything I don't have or true and false. Let's add a loop over here, and let's add, okay. So what I wanted to say first is that if I change the action output variable name, which we are going to use, so that's why I need to change it. And if I change the name of it, for some reason I have to change the name over here. It will not complain. It will actually still work, but you have to change it manually. I'm changing this manually just to be sure that everything is going to work like normal. And this is, you can actually see with the new name right now. Okay, great. And now we are going to say if this is true, and if I successfully get my list of JSONs of the users, I can have a loop. So what about the loop? So the loop will always have the loop. My idea is to actually loop through every single item of the lists. And looping through every single item of the list, I have to have a condition. And I have to have a condition when the loop will actually stop. So I want the loop to stop when all the items are being went through. Or so I'm going to start the loop is in the all the lists actually in the coding are starting from 0. So it will be like loop 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So my idea is that I'm going to have a single condition, and I'm going to get the action output of the JSON. So getting the action output of the JSON, I have no further changes, which will actually, I think this will actually get me the JSON, but I'm not really sure about that. But I have API response. So I have the JSON body, I have the status code, I have the success, if it's success or not, and I have the get response header, and I have the role body text. So the raw body text is actually used when the output is something else, something different than the JSON path. But in this case, we are going to have a list of JSON. So it is a JSON, and we have the body, the JSON body. And now TensorFlow wants us to put a JSON path. But in theory, whatever path I'm putting over here will probably not give me the list of the items. I can probably put some paths, something like, let me just show you right now what I mean. If I go to, so let me just open that real quickly from here, open the API call, go over here, test the API call, and this is my result that I'm getting. And if I go to recommended, for example, if I want to get the name, and if I click over here to select it, so I'm going to select the name. So this will actually going to get all the names. And if I go over here, you can actually see that I'm getting all the names. But the problem with this path is that this is literally going to get me all the names. And this is not going to get me a number. What I want in the end of the day is a number, not getting all the dates, not getting all the names, but I want to get a number of the items that I'm going to use. So in this case, I don't think this will going to work. So that's why I created this custom function that I show you in the beginning, which is count items. So I'm going to use count items, and I'm going to use, because this is a list of JSONs, in my case, it's a list of JSONs, but if you have something else, then you have to change it to wherever you are, like a list of documents or whatever. And then I have the action output, and I have the user response, and the user response will be the body type. And I don't think I need to do anything over here, but I just in case, I would just use JSON path custom and just the $sign, which will actually return all the response. So if I click save, this is going to return me the response, and this is going to, in theory, this should actually return the list of JSONs. And I want to actually compare it to something, right? So if I save this right now, I need to have a local page variable or a state or an app state. It both will work, but because I'm going to use this variable, I'm going to use it only in this page. So that's why I'm going to create a local page variable. And my page variable will be index or something like user index. So I can spell it in index, and this will be an integer. So this will be an integer. The default value will be 0. It will be non-knowable, and it will be not a list. And I will save that, and I will go back to my on-page load actions. And here, when I'm inside my loop, the first thing that I want to do, because I don't want to forget that, is I want to actually add on the state management, I want to update the page state, and I want to go to user index, and I want to actually increase it by 1. So every time the loop is going, like the first time it goes, it will be 0, but then it will be they will be increased by 1. So it will be 1, and then it will be 2, and then it will be 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So when I want to stop, so I want this to stop when we reach. So this is actually saying that it's returning me a string, which is not exactly what I want. I want to return an integer. So let me just go back to edit the function right now. And this should return an integer, not a string. It should return an integer. I don't know why it's saying it's returning a string when it should return an integer. This one, I think it should be an integer. But okay, let's say equal to, and then the one that I want to do is from variable, and the variable that I want to compare it to is coming from page state user index. So this is going to right now compare it, and it's complaining about I cannot compare it because I think this is an integer and this is a string, and it can compare string to an integer, which is why I'm getting this error from. Okay, so I created a new custom function which is called count items to, and I just wanted to see if this will work. And the name of the custom function is count items to, and I have the same error actually, which I don't know why I'm getting this error. Sorry about that. But it should work because I already tested that. And let's test it actually to see if it's working. Right now I have three items, but it's not working. Okay, let's try to delete it and try to write it one more time. Okay, I deleted it now. So let's try to add it one more time. So this is the code. It's very simple code. My argument, I have only one argument, which is called items. And this will be a list of JSONs and it will be nullable. And I want to return an integer. So this is my whole custom action. And let's make it C items. So it will be a different name. And I'll save it and I'll check for errors right now. And if I go to test function, I should be able to test it without waiting for this custom function to check to compile it or check for errors. Yeah, but unfortunately, I still get the same error, and I think this is for related for some reason. Because it was working yesterday, and I literally don't see any errors in this custom function, and I don't see this clear unset fields. So I guess this is in the line. It's 256, which I don't see it. Of course, I don't have it. I only have 27 lines over here. Yeah, so this will not work right now. Fortunately, like I said, it's a flow issue. But the whole idea is that you should be able to actually click over here and select custom function, and then select the custom function, which is count items, and then select the output of the action, and then select the JSON body. And no further action will actually, it should work as well. So unfortunately, because this is not working right now, it's telling me it is a string, but this should be an integer. And you can actually see that the custom function is returning an integer, and it should return an integer, but for some reason, this is actually telling me that it's returning a string. So that's why it's not currently working the way I want it to. But it should work. It should return an integer, and then you should get something like greater than or equal to, and then we put this in the second value. We put the page state, which is user index. So that means that right now you can see it's not working because of that, because this is a string. It says this is a string and this is an integer. So that's why I cannot save it actually, unfortunately. But this is how it's supposed to work. And I hope they will actually fix it as soon as possible. But yeah, so the whole idea is that this will actually loop through all the items in the list that is returning from the API call. And then you can actually do right now, if I add an action over here, and if I try to move it on top of this action, this will actually still not work as well. But there is a hack to it. So you can actually, I think you can copy this action and then paste it over here if you want to move it. So you can copy this action, paste it over here, and then you can delete it from here. And now your last action will be to update the current index, which should be your last action. make sure this is your last action, actually. This is a good practice. And now what we can do, actually, we can have, for example, if we have a state management, we can have something like app state, and we can have something like, let's say, for example, I want to add a list of strings. And I'll actually use the cities strings. And what I want to do is add to list. And let's try that. So I want to add to list. And what I want to add to list is that the current index of the current index of the JSON. So in this example, I think we can actually do it like that. So we can do it with user response, which is coming from the API response again, and we have the JSON body, and then we have the path to the JSON body. So we can have something like that, and then we have something like dot, and then we can have, for example, dot name. We can have something like that name, but this will not work because this is returning all the list of JSONs, and we only want one item or one name of it. So how we are going to do that? It's very simple. So let me just show you. So let me just add over here name. So I don't want to write that one more time. This will not work. But if I go to my API code right now, and if I go to response, and this is actually how it works, how it's going to return all the names. But if I want only one name, I should be able to write like one over here, test this, and I should get only one name. As you can see it over here, just write the index and then you get the name. If I write two dots, I'm going to get all the names, but if I write 0, I'll get the first name. If I write 1, I'll get actually the second name. So this will going to get Leanne, and this is going to get me Erwin. So great. So I will actually copy this and go back to my code and open my actions and go over here and open this path. So in the path, I'm going to actually paste it like that. And what is the index? So the index is very simple. The index is going to come from my user index. But the thing is that I'm not sure if this is going to actually work, and it will probably not going to work right now, currently in Fiddleflow, unfortunately, because you don't have access to the index, actually. I already talked with Alex from Fiddleflow regarding this. Unfortunately, you don't have access to the index, so you can see it over here. I can actually write 1, which is going to work, and can write 2, which is going to work, but I don't have access to the index. Or at least I don't know how I can access the index from here. But if I click on confirm right now, and if I I don't want to spend a lot of time because I already spent a lot of time from it. But this is how you can actually do it. And you can actually have something like a custom function for that, or a custom action. But the whole idea is that you don't need to use custom code with a looping right now. And this will actually work very good with a Firebase query, because in the Firebase query you can actually get the index of the list, so you don't need to mess with the JSON paths. So it will definitely work better with the Firebase indexes. So like I said, let's hope that they improve that in the future. I already marked that to Alex, that I think this needs to be a little bit improved, especially for API calls, right? Because like I said, in Firebase it will work. Okay, so let's move on actually. let's talk about the infinite scroll for more widgets. So like I said previously, we only had this infinite scroll available for list view and not for column as well. But now we have it for page view, we have it for grid view, and we have it for staggered view. So let me actually show you how this works. And let's switch back to my app and let's close this one. And let's open, let's try first with the list view because list view was already working. Let's try first that. So if I open list view right now, I should be able to actually query. I think the query should be done over here. So let's add a query and let's add a app state and let's add the users and you can actually see it over here, enable infinite scroll. So I can actually enable it and click confirm. And then here I can have something like user, and this will come from user's response, and this will be only the dollar sign. I can put here dollar sign, or I can say no further changes. Both should work, and it should. And I was saying me to auto-generate the children. So I'll actually delete this chain of actions so those don't mess with them. And then I will add a text. So I'll add a simple text, and this will be the name of the person. So this will be an item, and this will be a JSON path, and the path will be that name. So this is actually coming, the path, it's coming from this, and this is the path, that name. Great. So we now added this inside a list view. Let's try to add this into a grid view. So let's try to add a grid view. And let's try to do the same thing. So if I go to add a query, add an apical users, and now we have the same thing, right? We have the invisible, sorry, not invisible, but the infinity scroll, and we can have something like, let's say user too, because we already have user, so I don't want to use the same user over here, and this one is going to, let's make it this time differently. Let's make it with a dollar sign. If I see where is the dollar sign, it's here. Okay, confirm, confirm, confirm. And let's add the what else? So we have the name. Let's add something else right now. Let's add an email, for example. So we'll add the user 2, and this would be JSON path.email. Confirm. So we added the email. Let's try the third one is the grid view. So let's try with the grid view. Grid view, it's this one. And then go here, over here, and this time let's try with the query, and the query will be users. This will be a list of users, and this will be enable infinite scroll page size 25. Okay, and then it says create a backend query. Yes, I want to create it, and then this is actually done automatically, I think. And now I can add a text, and I can add the name. I should be able to add the name, the display name of the user, like that. So yeah, and let's add the last one, which is what was it? Struggled. So struggled. Come on, come on. Is this one? Yeah. And then let's add, yeah, it's actually the same workflow, because I see that, yeah, it's actually the same workflow. Just go over here, add a backend, and then you have the infinite scroll. So let's add a query again. Let's add the users, and you can see it over here. Enable infinite scroll. And that's it. This is how you do it. Just click confirm. And that's it. This is how you do it. So let's move on. Talk about temporary disable action. So we added a new option to disable an action. This feature is a game changer for debugging, allowing you to temporarily deactivating or comment out specific actions. To use this feature, select the three dots on the action, disable action. So let's try that actually. Let's go to my actions. Let's again go to the scaffold. Let's open the let's create a new action, and let's make the index. Let's change the index actually. Let's set it to 7, for example, and let's add a new one over here, and let's set it to 5, for example, just to check this disable action. Let's set it to 5, and now if I click over here, I have a new action or a new feature. Let's go disable action. And if I click this disable action, watch out what is going on over here. So I'm only disabling the first action. The second action will actually run, and I'm only disabling the second action. So right now, unfortunately, you cannot disable the chain of actions. You have to manually click them one by one to disable them. But yeah, let's hope in the future. I think it would be much appreciated if I have a chain of a lot of actions and I just want to disable them. It would be great to disable all the chain of actions and not only a specific action. But still, it's a great thing to disable an action just to see what is going on for debugging purposes. And then, of course, you can enable it when it's done. So yeah, let's move on. This was a short one. Okay, so let's talk about the widget opacity. So right now, you can actually go to visibility in the panels options, and then you can change the opacity of a certain widget that you want. And previously, that was not possible. And if I switch to my project right now, I added the background. I added the yellow background to it so I can actually see it better. And I added an image. And I can actually add another image. So you can actually add a button. But okay, let's add a button as well. And let's add another image over here. And now if I click on this image, you can actually see on the right side over here the new option, which is apply opacity. And it's actually great because you can also apply opacity with a double using from set from variable. So it could be actually dynamic, and that's actually a great thing because you can control it from some other, like from the backend or from the app state or wherever. And now watch out, not watch out, but watch what is going on if I change the opacity. So you can actually see this one, it's on 50%, and you actually see it 50% of the image and then 50% of the background. And you should be able to do the same thing with a button, right? So if I change the opacity right now to the button, it's actually the same thing. You can actually see 50% of the button and 50% of the background. And if I make it all the way to 0, the image will be gone right now, but the space where the image is, it will be still there, right? So if you actually want to keep the space where the image is, you can just hide it like that, and then you can show it. And you can actually see that on the left side where the widget tree, you can actually see a new icon, which is the opacity icon. And you can actually, when you hover over it, you can actually see the percentage of the double of the capacity that you applied to it. Yeah, that was it with the opacity. Let's move on. Talk about the perks program. Our new FluidFlow perks program offers more than 50K in discounts from partners like Google Cloud, Algolia, and more. Navigate to perks program. Tap in the FluidFlow dashboard to explore the perks today. So if I switch actually to my dashboard, you can actually see I have projects, I have marketplace, I have my organization, I have resources, and I have perks program. Why I cannot say that? And currently, actually, I think they added more perks because right now it says 56,800 in perks. So the whole idea is that you actually have like Tela or Google Cloud that will actually give you like discounts or it will give you credits. And like in the example of Algolia, you can actually claim credits that are as much as 10,000 US dollars in Algolia credits, for example. And if you click on Algolia, you can actually see what is this, what's Algolia about, what is the credits about, and you can actually access the perk. And you can read about a little bit about Algolia, and you can read about Algolia and Flow, which is just say Algolia and Flow work great together. Yeah, that's true. And if I go to, let's say, Tela, for example, you can actually see again, you can actually see about Tela and Flow, and you can actually see that using this link, you are going to get 30% of annual or monthly subscriptions. Estimate saving is around $68 in this case. So there are a lot of perks over here. There are a lot of platforms over here. I think the one that is most attractive will be Algolia, of course, because a lot of people are using Algolia for search in their projects, and Google Cloud, of course. A lot of people are using Google Clouds, and then probably Upright if you want to use their backend. Also Dropbox, which is not 100% related to Flow, but you can still manage to use Dropbox with Flow. And of course, Revenue Cat, if you want to have subscription-based like items in your app, Revenue Cat is actually the official way you can do it. I made a video how you can do it with Stripe, but Revenue Cat will be actually the official way of doing subscriptions in Android and iOS. So you can get like $500 in Revenue Cat credits. And that's, I think, all that I think are the most excited ones. And you have suggest a perk, and you can actually suggest a flow perk. We'll review requests on a monthly basis and do our best to get suggestion added. So if there is something missing that you think that Flow can work to add it, you can actually write here to suggest a platform that is missing from those that they already work. But there are actually a lot of them. Like I think there are more than 50 right now. We have the accounting, we have the support, we have the database, we have the legal, we have the marketing, we have productivity, we have finance, and we have HR, and we have telecom is the last one. And if I don't select this one, I will get the suggested one. Great. So let's move actually to the last one, which is what is coming next. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the other improvements. It says you can now upload a local file, which means just bytes that you initially uploaded to Firebase. I'm not really sure what they really mean with that. Probably we have the local file and now you can upload it to Firebase. I think so. I'm not really sure. If you know what they are talking about, please let me know in the comments below. they also added an action to update a user email when using Firebase or Superbase authentication. So right now, you should actually be able to update the email of the user if you're using Firebase or Superbase authentication. Previously, that was not possible. Also, they added an option to allow the audio player to continue playing in the background. I'm actually interested in that one. So let me quickly actually go back to my flow. And then let's go to my page that I added, which I think it's new. And then this one is it. Let's change the background real quickly because I don't like this background. Great, and let's delete this one, and let's delete this picture. And then let's add it a colon, and let's add it audio player. Just I want to see if I can see this new functionality, which is to play on the background. So let's see. Yeah, so we have this pause on foreground navigation, and we have this when through the audio will pause when the user navigates forward to another page. So I think if you just disable this check, it should be the audio player should actually continue playing on the background. So this is the new thing that was not possible previously. And we also have this, you can now use the Canvas Kit render for your web application instead of HTML. So I think this is a huge improvement because you can, because Canvas Kit, it's much better rendering engine. Yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think about it. And this one is you can now add your own custom date format. I'm not sure if I can actually show you that, but let's try. Let's try that. So if I go over here and if I delete this one, and if I add a text, and the text will be something like global current time, and I should be able to format it. So datetime format, and it's, yeah, so we have this custom format right now, and you can actually write your custom format. Of course, it should be related to the official format. So, for example, the y lower y, it's actually I think it's the year. Month, M, capital M, it's the month, and lower D, it's the date. So you have to stick with this format, but you can actually find it online. There are a lot of pages that you can show you the format. Just write Dart format, datetime format, and you should be able to see it. And then the last one is you can now use your keyboard arrows to move items within a vertical or horizontal list. Okay, great. That is much appreciated. And I think we're talking about web apps over here, and not mobile apps, right? Because we don't have keyboard arrows in the mobile app. Great. And new features we're working on. So the new features we're working on, we are talking about, they're talking about directory organization for custom code. So like I said, I think this will be folders that you can actually put inside your custom code to organize your custom code. If you have a lot of custom code like me, and then the second one is ability to set splash screen duration. So right now the splash screen duration, the splash screen in general, if you don't know what it is actually when you're starting your application, there is an image or a GIF, wherever you put, that will show first when loading the application. And right now, I think the duration of the splash screen, it's like by default, it's like a couple of seconds or something like that. But you can now, apparently, you can actually change that. And you can control the duration from it in the future, of course, because this is coming, right? And then we have the hero animations for components. Right now, I don't think we have the hero animation for components. I'm not a UI or UX guy. I don't use a lot of animations, honestly. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Actually, what do you think about this new feature? Are you going to use it? And before you go, I just want to let you know that I set up a Discord channel, which will be for my 3,000 subscribers. So thank you very much for everyone who subscribed to the channel. The Discord channel will be officially announced when I reach the 3,000 subscribers. Uh, it is well structured. It will be well structured with the general tab, which you can see the info, the news. And we will have also click to talk, so you can actually talk to other members of the channel. And we have the YouTube videos as well, where you can see all the YouTube videos. You can also have, if you want to, if you want to request a video, you can go to video requests, and then we have the paid members from YouTube, which they have a separate channel where they can talk. I also have from the mentoring sessions, we have the paid members. And then it's structured by backend, Flow API calls Superbase SQLite. And then you have the design, where you can ask design questions. We have the custom code, which is code expressions, custom functions, custom widgets, custom actions. And for the Flow source code, we can talk about the Flow source code as well. And we have integrations as well, pub dev packages, platforms, if you want to integrate different platforms. We have the general integrations. And then we have, you don't see it from my face, but we have also the settings. We have the dynamic links, we have the push notifications, we have the app settings, we have the Android deployment, we have the iOS deployment, and we have the web deployment. And the last thing that we have is actually we have the languages, and we have other languages. So we have like Swedish, for example, Spanish, Portuguese, and all other languages that people from those countries or those languages can talk in their own language. So yeah, like I said, thank you very much for all the subscribers. And before you go, I just want to say that the paid membership for YouTube is now open. So you can be a paid member to my YouTube channel, which means a lot. And thank you very much for all the people who are right now paid members to the channel.